that shit of doubt hanging around. God, oh, 'cause darling, there was nothing right when all you seem to do is lie. Those days are gone. I'm walking tall while you're alone. When I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things you took from me, I know that I am so much better. I'm better off. When I look at what I've done now that we're apart, when I look at what I've won, I've come so far. I know I'm so much better off. And baby, you don't belong. Your love was cold, heart made of stone. I'm just fine, I'm gonna shine. I'm alright. I'm celebrating my liberation. I'm moving strong, I'll get it done. I'm might be shaken but not stirred. Just a lesson that I've learned. And so it goes, tables turn, and you're on your own. When I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things you took from me, I know that I am so much better. I'm better off. When I look at what I've done now that we're apart, when I look at what I've won, I've come so far. I know I'm so much better off. Put your pinkies up now, up now, up, live well to the extreme now. Put your pinkies up now, up now, up.
Hey, it's Pinky. You're on the Pink Pill YouTube channel. Be a love and like, share, and subscribe. Pinky's up.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, ladies. Pinkies up and welcome to the Pinky Powwow. We have them usually on Sundays. We've taken a few little breaks recently, but we're back. We're back, and your girl has a guest. Your girl has a guest today. I wanted to say just this, you guys. I have been thinking about, should I change the intro music? Should I switch it up a little bit, And every time I think about it, and I look at your guys' comments. I look at your guys' comments and I'm like, no. I feel like it gets us in the mood. It gets us like, just just in the mood to have fun and be playful and just kind of you guys are liking my hair, you guys. Today, this is my first $200 haircut by a Hollywood stylist today. So this is the $200 haircut. This is what a $200 haircut looks like. Ah! You guys are saying, no, 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 don't change the music. I feel like especially I Am Better Off. And you guys, for those of you who are new, I feel like it's kind of a divestment song. It's kind of just pulling away from, it's a testament to pulling away from something, disengaging from something that just does not serve you anymore. It's not giving you the comfort and the love, and you're just moving away from that. And so I feel like that, like for me, that is the divestment anthem. It should be I Am Better Off. Um, but anyway, you guys, hello, hello, hello. And I hope that you guys are ready to have a lot of fun, because I'm ready to have a lot of fun. I am rested. I've had my little, recharge, and I'm ready to go. And today we have a special guest, Mina from the Universe Guru. She is going to be joining us in just a second here. If you guys see this yellow stuff right next to me, like normally I drink rosé because it is the Pinky Powwow. However, I, for the first time, created limoncello from the lemons that I grow in my garden. So I wanted to let you guys know that this is so fun. Like when when you grow things and you're a gardener and you can produce this stuff. And so this is 100% organic limoncello that I grew in my garden. I'm so excited. So cheers. Okay, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, make sure also that you are liking this and telling people that Mina is here tonight. Make sure you're telling people that I'm live. Make sure at least that you're liking, because the more that you like this video, the more it spreads. So let's go ahead and get Mina in the building. Oh, look at you. Hello.
Hello, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure. You're just such an amazing person. I'm so blessed and happy to have met you. You were, and I just want to put this out here because Mina is also a coach. And so I went to Mina for a little bit of coaching, and she was just so comforting and really helped me to redirect and figure out what was important and what I needed to do. And Mina, I want to tell you, I appreciate that so much, because it did have a major impact on how I move forward. So I still haven't. It's further coaching is not off the table, but I've got some other things going. I've got a skincare line that I'm trying to get out. So funds got to be diverted this way and the next. But I'm definitely it's here in the mind. So let's move today and talk about the reason why you reached out to me and why you said, "Hey, it's time for us. I think we should do another collaboration together." And it was based on money. And you told me a very interesting story about money and what you kind of came across, some circumstances that you came across that you felt was something that was important for us to cover. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what that story was?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me once again. And hello, everyone. Hello, all the pinkies and all the $1,000,000 babes joining from my channel as well. So, this is a topic that's really, really near and dear to my heart because there is no femininity and no feminine energy without the masculine container of money. And money has, like everything else that we birth, money has both feminine energy, feminine aspects, and masculine aspects. And recently, it was like back to back to back, Chris. I'm dealing with clients that have, it's like the same story. And I'm like, okay, when that happens, when it's the same story over and over again, that's a sign from God that I need to go out and speak about this. That's how I see it. And it's woman after woman after woman that's manifesting large amounts of money from wherever. Business, men giving it to her. Money is rolling in, but we're still living paycheck to paycheck, right? And we're talking large amounts of money. We're not talking about average amounts, right? These are clients that, are getting, there was one particular client that's getting like $60,000 from various men handed over to her.
Wow.
There was another client, making
Okay, wait. Stop.
1 million a year.
Stop. Stop a minute. Okay. Everybody is going to be wondering this, so I want to ask the question. How is this woman getting $60,000 from various men in her orbit?
She's dating, rotational dating, and she's getting all this money. So, and where the money is coming from is kind of irrelevant because they're all manifesting money from different places, businesses, jobs. I work with lawyers, doctors, business owners, and the theme is always the same. The money is flowing in, which means they're in touch with that divine feminine aspect of the money flowing in. But it's flowing in one door and flowing out the other door because
flowing in and flying out.
Flying out
Yes.
because the divine masculine isn't present. And this is really an important thing to share because this is how I was. I learned from my parents. Like my parents were very inconsistent with money. Like growing up, it was always like either we have large amounts of money coming in or we have no food in the refrigerator. So it was never in between. It was always this extreme. And so I learned from them that making money is easy. Like it will always come in. You'll be able to have it. But we could never keep it. And without even realizing it, I started repeating that in my 20s. I was able to, in my 20s, generate pretty large amounts of money from my real estate business. But it never stayed, Chris. Like it would come in and relatives would come asking for money. Emergencies would happen. Like I would get conned out of money. Like it was just like it would come in and it would burn a hole in my bank account. It was like I had to unload it. So long story short, I made the decision that I was going to solve this problem once and for all, that I didn't want to lose that divine feminine aspect of being able to call in the money and believing that I'm worthy of it and I can have it and it's supposed to be easy and it gets to be fun and it gets to be something that is like a renewable resource in my life. Like it just keeps coming in. But the divine masculine container part was always missing. So I'm like, I will die trying, but I'm going to like solve this issue. So I made a decision. I made a decision in my life that I get to have money, that it gets to come in and it gets to stay and it gets to have babies and it gets to grow. And so I started on this kind of, from this decision, this, one thing led to another. It was like, once I made the decision, the avenues opened up. And I, met my husband. And when my husband came into my life, he had the other missing piece. So he could never manifest large amounts of money. But once it came, it wasn't going anywhere. Like he was a hoarder, right? Like he was like, they used to call him I found this out after we got married, but they used to call him coupon mom before we got married. Right? He was all like, it's coming in and we're locking it up and it's not going anywhere. So we were like these polar opposites, but these really beautiful complements. And so we butted heads a lot in the beginning because it was like I wanted to spend it as soon as it came in, and he wanted to not spend any of it and hoard it. And so at one point I was like, okay, Mina, you prayed for this. You prayed to learn how to keep it. Obviously, this guy knows how to keep it. So are you willing to take this as a sign of God that you need to surrender and learn his process and then invite him into your world? And so that's what we did. And I think it was like 7 years into our marriage was when we had our first million. And after that, I think within 3 or 4 months, we were at 1.3, then 1.4, then 1.7. And then I gained the confidence to fully like come out of the closet and be like, I know how we can double, triple, and take it to the next level. And so the first portion of our marriage was my inner work with money. And the second, well, till now, I would say the second portion was his inner work with money. And I had to learn how to allow money to stay and grow. And he had to learn how to be okay with enjoying it and spending it. And so from everything I've learned from that, I now help my clients learn this, that look, money is a decision that you make. It's a decision that you make. And then you get out of your way and you allow it in. But you also have to have that masculine container of knowing what to do with it. Like once it shows up, how to invest it, how to keep it, how to enjoy it. And without being that like that icky, like let me give you an example. Like one of the ladies I was working with, she's a brilliant woman. She was making $1.4 million in her business, online business, similar to yours and mine, Chris, a year. And she was paycheck to paycheck. She was client to client, you should say. And then I was like, babe, you've got the feminine part covered. Like you're killing it, right? But where's the divine masculine container? Like where's the part that says you whip it into shape and you go, we put it here, we put it here. Enjoy it, but don't throw it away like the way you're doing. So that's what I really wanted to touch on is wherever your money is coming from, no judgment, men giving it to you, your business, your job, whatever. But are you really using it to the best of your vibration, to the best of your advantage? Is money working for you? Are you a slave to your money? Like, which way is it? Be honest with yourself.
Right. Well, there's two things that I thought about when you were talking about this. So a lot of times if people when they have a mentality, it's what some people call a poverty mentality. So whenever money comes to them, it's like an uncomfortable situation because as humans, we're always looking for the happy medium, the thing that makes us comfortable. And so what happens a lot of times with people who are poor or who grew up poor, you'll see that they'll get money and then they'll blow right through it. They will spend all of that money and go back to the situation that they were in before because it's where they feel comfortable. And so I think that's a struggle for a lot of people because if you're used to being poor, you spend all this money and then it's all gone and you're back to where you're used to being. And so, like, how do you switch that mindset, that poverty mindset of wanting to get back to the mean of where you're used to, even if it's unstable? There's stability in the instability because you know how to navigate that. It's a whole new thing when you have money coming in. So have you had people who have like that poverty mindset where they'll get money and then just spend it immediately?
Yes, it's like they have to unload it. I actually have one of my really close friends. We've been friends for 7 years now. And she said, when you and I met, my account had to be at zero. It had to be at zero. Like, she's like, I would make $4,000. She's a hairdresser. And she's like, I would make $4,000, $5,000 a month. And I had to get back to zero. And she didn't realize this, of course, before we were friends. She's very young. And she's like, within a couple of years of you and I being friends, I started having $500 in the bank and then $1,000. And like now her energetic minimum is $8,000. Like she'll never go below 8,000. So here's the thing, Chris, we all, whether we realize it or not, we all have energetic minimums and energetic maximums. So there's a person out there that's going to be like, I will get to $0 in my bank, but I'll never be negative. There's other people that will be like, I'll get to negative $25, but I'll always have enough to pay my rent. And then there's another person that might be like, I will miss 2 months of rent, but I will never get evicted. We all have energetic minimum. I had to raise mine, and you do it slowly, right? Like I had to raise it to money comes in and then it gets to stay. I get to have $100,000 in the bank, and then $1 million, and then $2 million, and then three. You have to keep raising it, but it can't be, I'm saying it with really, really large jumps. You have to baby step your way there. So one of the techniques I say is whatever amount you've never had in your bank, imagine that from wherever your job gave you a bonus, you win the lottery, whatever, it comes to you. Like vividly imagine it and then see how you feel. And a lot of my clients will say things like, I feel fear, or I feel uneasy. I feel like a panic attack coming on. So these are actual sensations that they feel in their body. And like one of the examples is like, think of lottery winners, right? Like Chris, you've heard this, the lottery curse, right? Like they have to unload the money.
Yes.
Because they got it so fast, they didn't get a chance to expand their energetic container to be able to hold that amount of money. So, and then you've also heard of billionaire entrepreneurs that lost it out all and then got it back. Because their energetic minimum was $1 billion. So you can take it all away, but the people that they became in making the billions you can't take that away. You can't take that away. So there is an inner work to money. And because this is a very important resource on this earthly plane, like we give it a lot of importance, right? We trade our energy for it. We trade our hours for it. We trade our health for it at times. You need to learn this. You need to learn both the feminine aspects of it and the masculine aspects, because otherwise you'll always be a slave to it. You will be the person that can get to $1 million a year and still be paycheck to paycheck because you don't have the other aspect.
Yes, no, it's that's quite true. I have a minimum for me that I need to have to where I need to feel safe. And I think it might be, I don't know, I'm a Cancer. I don't know if it has something to do with the fact that I'm a Cancer. I need to feel secure and I need to have that little bit of a nest. When I started to really, when our family really started to be very financially secure, it was very important to me that I paid off all my credit cards. I just did not want to have, I resented the fact that, I was at the point with these credit cards where even paying the minimum, it was so much, but the actual balance just didn't seem to be moving. And when I had the opportunity to eliminate that, that helped my security. And so there are certain things that I absolutely have to have in place that I will not gamble on, because from me and my psychology and just the way in which I need to navigate in the world where I feel secure, there's just a certain minimum. But I want to talk to you also about when you have all this money coming in, a lot of times we'll spend it on things that we think are important. We think that we'll spend money on symbols of things that we think are important. If we were gifted $1,500, then we'll go out and see, what Chanel purse or what Celine purse or whatever we can get, because we think, well, if I have this purse, then, it's going to make me, it's going to elevate me and my status. And so I will attract more money, or it'll send certain communication symbols to the people who I want to notice me. There's a lot of that too, right?
Yes. And so this is so interesting you say that, because recently I had done a video a few years ago, many on this topic, but one in particular talking about my journey on overcoming that consciousness of like having to get rid of money and like then being able to become a multimillionaire. And so someone recently, it's an old video from a few years ago, commented saying, but you don't look rich, you look middle class. And I thought that was very interesting, because as one of my late professors, or one of my mentors, Dr. Thomas Stanley of the Millionaire Next Door series would say, he unfortunately passed away a few years ago from a drunk driving accident. He was hit by a drunk driver. Yeah, it's amazing work that he did. Now his daughter is actually moving on his legacy. He had a lot to do with my realizing what wealth actually looks like.
Yes.
So someone said this, I was like, the problem isn't that I look middle class. The problem is that the middle class has shifted. It's inflated. It's a fake middle class.
Yes, it is.
So
it's a bubble.
It's a bubble, right? So I drive a car similar to a lot of my paycheck to paycheck friends, but they have it on lease and I bought mine on cash, right?
Yes.
And I own my house outright, and I have money invested and it's generating cash like all the time, every month, passive income. So I heard this description a few years ago on Facebook, and I don't remember the original author. I apologize. And it really resonated with me, because there's different types of millionaires, and this explains it. Most people think that a millionaire means that you earn millions of dollars every year. That is not the actual definition of a millionaire. A millionaire means that you have assets worth $1 million or more. So you can be earning millions of dollars and be spending millions of dollars and have zero assets, and that would actually not qualify you as a millionaire. So the definition I heard was, rich is when you have to keep earning money. You have to keep working for money. And wealth is when your money works for you. So we're not the Instagram ready Kim Kardashian type of millionaires, but my husband and I are the type of millionaires where we can quit working right now, both of us, and our wealth will sustain us for the rest of our lives. So the interest earning from the investments and the passive income, we wouldn't be, having $1 million, like what we would consider to be a $1 million lifestyle, but we'd be very comfortable. We would have, a couple $100,000 coming in every year. And that's enough to, in Texas, live a very good lifestyle.
Especially since you said you've paid off your home. So if you've paid off your home, then, you're just talking about taxes, and that's usually the big chunk of money that goes that people have to earn. So if you don't have a mortgage, then if you're making $100,000 or $200,000 a year, there's a lot you can do with that.
Yes. And the reason I'm sharing this is that it makes it relatable, right? Like, if the entire middle class has been inflated through Instagram or social media, then everyone thinks, even when I talk about, like, I do videos on my channel about finding a masculine provider, and everyone's thinking that all of us have to find the 8-figure man. Well, we're not all going to marry billionaires, and we don't all need to necessarily marry billionaires. Like, my husband wasn't even a millionaire when I met him. He was an engineer. He still is an engineer, and he had a good 6-figure salary, and he was a nice guy that fit my, from a good family that met my love list. And we both had, the potential of living a very happy, healthy life and grow in love. But if I was like only going for and by the way, in my rotation, I had several men that were already multimillionaires, and their requirements of what they needed from me was such an exhausting lifestyle. Like, I was a single mom at the time, Chris, I don't know if you know that. So,
oh yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we were both single moms. I was a single mom. before I
Yes,
married. Yes.
like they were like all about the nannies and the entertaining their clients and getting on private jets, and that
Yeah.
sounds exciting for a single girl. It does, and I'm sure lots of women would have enjoyed that. But I'm looking at my 4-year-old and I'm going, I can't just like that's not the lifestyle that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So I share this because when you look at like a reasonable amount of money, like if you most of us have the chance of actually saving and investing $1 million. It can take up to 10 years, 7 to 10 years depending on your income, but I have many clients that have done it. And the interest that you would earn off of that, this is called the Trinity study. If anyone wants to look it up, the Trinity study says if you calculate how much you would need to live off of a year, times that by 25, invest that amount, and live off the 4% rule, you would never run out of money.
Mm-hmm.
And so we found that number, tripled it, and because we may want to live large afterwards, like may want to spend more. So this makes it relatable. It's something that everyone can do. But even if you don't want to do that, that's not your goal. Just know that the lifestyle these days that you see are highly inflated.
Yes.
And do the inner work so that you can keep some of your hard-earned money, because you are exchanging your precious life force energy for it. Like, don't become a slave to it, right? Like, are you working for your money, or is your money working for you?
Absolutely. And here's the thing too. My in-laws are very much like the millionaires next door. I mean, they live in a very one of the wealthiest cities in the United States, and they put all their kids through school, and these were not cheap schools. We're talking Harvard, Dartmouth, Boston College. They drive Hondas, they drive Fords, they shop at Target. But my children, their grandchildren, have trust funds. So it's a quiet kind of money. Their house is also paid for. They had enough money to purchase in cash another home out here in California so they could be close to their grandchildren. And it's a very modest thing. Like, they do have friends because of just their status in their community. My father-in-law is a judge. They do have friends who are very wealthy, and they have more of an opulent lifestyle, but it suits them, and they will never, like, if he works now because he wants to, very part-time as a judge, and she hasn't worked at all, and they're both doing extremely, extremely well, and they're happy. There's plenty of there's abundance of it, and they don't feel like they're trapped by these. And this is where I'm going with this, these wealth markers that there are some people feel like they need to have in order to sort of prove something. So, they need to have the certain kind of car, and so they'll pay $800 a month for a lease of a car. But like, for me, I'm driving my Honda Odyssey, which has been paid off for years, until the wheels fall off. And then when I got to get another car, I'm going to write a check for the car that I can afford. And I'm not going to have a car payment because I don't want that. I just want to have it one and done. I don't want to have that as a bill. But those are things that I've learned. But I feel like if you've come from not only just a poverty mindset, but you go through this like Instagram mindset where everything is inflated, and you're seeing everybody like one of the things that really kind of gets on my nerves, Mina, I don't know why this gets on my nerves, but I'll see Instagram photos of gigantic bouquets of flowers, like maybe hundreds of flowers. And, that must have cost thousands of dollars. And I'm like, I've gotten plenty of flowers in my life, and some of them have been very impressive. They've never been like those gigantic ones, but I wouldn't even want that. I'm sure that costs a few $1,000s. Can I have the few $1,000s that it cost you to buy me the bouquet of roses? I will take that over something that, is going to die in the next few days. Like, to me, it's just like, the things that we think are important, the things that we are valuing, especially in this this world of Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat, and where everybody's trying to pose as something and be something else. Like at the end of the day, why do I want that Mercedes? Why do I want those a bouquet of 1,000 roses if there's zero money in my bank account? How does that even make sense?
Exactly. And so one of the concept that I had to adapt, and I read this from a book. My mom had gifted this book to my brother, and then he had read it and gave it to me, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he gave it to me, and I was on a flight once and I was reading it. And I remember in one of the chapters, I forgot his name. I think it was Robert, the author. His wife wanted to buy a Mercedes, and they had plenty of money. They were multimillionaires in the real estate. And he said, sure, here's the money. You can go buy the Mercedes, or you can invest that money and then buy the Mercedes from the passive income, from the...
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And I adapted that in my own life. And so my husband and I have this, we don't need to do this now, but we adapted this, that any money that we have to trade hours for, either one of us, that money has to get invested after expenses and stuff.
I like
and then
that
with
idea.
passive income that comes in, like now we get, dividend money from our stocks and passive income from all, affiliates and programs and things like that, that we can spend. Mm-hmm. So then it's like my mom would say, you're spending the babies of the money, like not the money that you have.
I love that.
You're hard on. And so that's one way to do it. Of course, there's always a million ways. And at the end of the day, look, if you want nice things, I love nice things.
Yes.
I love the Chanel bags and the nice cars. But I had priorities, right? Like I wanted to pay off I had this thing since I was I think I was a teenagers when I started saying, I'm going to have a paid off house one day. When I was 24, I started saying, I'm going to be a millionaire one day. And people would roll their eyes and, of course, do that whole thing. But for some reason, I just knew, and I just kept saying it, that it was going to happen. So when we moved to Houston, we already had a paid off house in South Carolina, very modest house. It was, South Carolina is a very low cost of, living city.
Well, it depends. It depends.
Where we were, it was a very normal, neighborhood. I think my husband he had bought it before we got married, like $250,000 for it.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, like very modest, but paid off. And so when we moved here, the real estate agent was showing us all these big, large homes here. And of course, I was getting like, ooh, like, yes, I want them all, right? And my husband's like, babe, remember how you like paid off houses? Like of course she thinks we should buy the largest, most expensive house. And I want you to have a nice house, but I know how important it is for you to also have a paid off house. So he's like, why don't we get something lower than what they're suggesting so we can pay it off? And so the goal was paid off in 5 years. We did it in 3. But the thing is, we had to make those sacrifices in the beginning, right? Like we had to say, and here's what I recommend. Look, at the end of the day, money is supposed to serve you. You're supposed to enjoy it. It's supposed to be fun. I do believe it's a renewable resource. If you do your inner work, it will always keep coming in. Mm-hmm. But watch your vibration when you spend money. Like when you're about to hit click, pay, check out, or give your credit card.
Yes.
Or write that check to the electric company. How are you feeling? Are you feeling annoyed? Are you feeling fear? Are you feeling scarcity? Or are you feeling abundant? And so we started doing this, and we realized that some of the things that we were spending on brought us absolutely zero joy. And we cut those expenses. We haven't had cable in 5 years. That was like a no-brainer. Some of the things that we really enjoyed, we were being super cheap on. Like we loved traveling, but we were being super trying to travel hack and all this stuff. And so we thought, okay, let's get rid of the expenses that we don't enjoy, and let's spend more. So we went from staying at, the Marriott and the Hilton to staying at the most expensive luxury 5-star resorts, because that actually feels really good.
Yes,
it
that's
really
fun.
raises our vibration.
Yes.
So spend intentionally, invest in yourself. That will keep growing. Inner work probably is our largest expense to this day, because I believe that will always, anytime I've invested in myself, it's come back 11-fold.
Absolutely.
I'm the
Absolutely.
biggest investment in my family. Like I literally am. I think I'm the biggest probably in our work expense because I'm always growing and working. Second largest is probably travel because we enjoy that. But are you mindful or are you just like I worked hard so I deserve to
Right.
be
Exactly. Exactly.
spending here and there? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. But see, for me, I'm also just a bargain shopper. Like I know that I do like very nice things. I like my closet is obscene. And it is obscene. It is obscene. I'm ashamed to show it. Like I sat even with all of those clothes when I knew I was preparing for this interview with you. I was like, what am I gonna wear? Like literally just packed full of clothes. I was like, this is ridiculous. But so what I do though is I never buy. If I There was one time where I bought designer clothes at the full price. I just absolutely refuse. For in general, I won't. I will go to consignment stores. I will get things on sale. I'll buy things out of season because who cares? That's the way that I do it. Even though I can afford it, like why would I give hundreds of dollars away? But you're right. When it comes to vacationing and want to have a good time, I also still look for the deals too. I'm always I'm trying to figure out like, okay, I got a YouTube channel. Can I've got a pretty decent sized Instagram. Can I get a discount? Maybe if I shout them out, can I get a little something, something? I mean, I'm always trying to look for the angle. My next question for you is this though. We've talked a lot about family dynamics with money, and you and your husband having a plan about how you guys were going to spend money and how you guys were going to set yourselves up for the rest of your lives. And I think that's great. But there's a lot of women who are followers of the both of us who are not yet married. So they don't necessarily have anyone that they can have those common goals and conversations with. So what advice do you have to the single women who, need to start being on that track without having that masculine partner to kind of be there to balance the scales?
It's actually easier for them. So this is
Oh,
what I've seen in
okay.
my work. I know a lot of single women come in thinking that it's going to be harder for them. It's actually harder to do it as a couple because you've got two different people with two different limiting beliefs about money and two different agendas and two different priorities. So what we've seen, and my husband and I used to do a lot of financial stuff with couples. And what we saw that it's actually easier to coach a single woman. So
Ah,
you still need the masculine container and the feminine dynamic. So within a relationship, you both will need both. And sometimes the woman will bring the masculine container and the man is the one that's the feminine container. Or as Dave Ramsey would say, one's the saver, one's the free spirit, right? Like it's the same term, it's different terminology, same concept. So when you're single, I think a lot of times when I was a single mom, I spent a lot of money on, God, I wasted obscene amounts of money on stupid stuff, trying to not look like I was a failing single mom.
right.
I lived in
Did you spend a lot of time at Gymboree like I did?
Oh yes, Jim. I would spend like thousands of dollars on clothes for my son and
Yeah.
toys. I lived in a
Matching, you had to, if you get the top, you got to get the overalls, and you got to get the matching shoes and the hat and all that. Yes, yes.
Yes, I lived in a penthouse condo. I had, that Hugh Hefner round bed. That's the
Mm-hmm.
kind of furniture I had. I did have a $800 lease car. Like I was
Oh my
making a
gosh,
lot
you
of
did.
money. Yes, I did all of that. I did. Here's the thing, though, Chris. I have to tell you this. So I was in real estate, and I
Mm-hmm.
was a real estate agent and a real estate broker, and also I had a construction company that I owned, so I could flip properties and write things
Mm-hmm.
off. And funny thing was that I had access to all these people's financial documents, right? Because they were investors, and
Mm-hmm.
the guy that would come up in the beat up van with the navy, what is it, Old Navy $5 flip flops,
Mm-hmm.
would be like, I'll take 2 of those properties. Here's the
Yes.
cash.
Yes.
And the guy that would
Yes.
show up in the Mercedes with
They
the
have
sweater and
nothing.
the watch, he
Mm-hmm.
couldn't get approved for a $200,000 loan.
Mm-hmm.
That it was shot. And it was like, I was in my 20s then, and it was such an eye-opening experience because over the course of 6 years, I saw the people that looked homeless had cash money to pay for
Oh my
properties. And the people
God.
that
This
were
is
so
what I
rich,
try to tell. Listen, this is what I try to tell women. It's like, do not, like that to me, and I call this hood rich, like hood high value. Like, you make 6 figures, and you're just barely making $100,000 a year, and you are renting, a house that is, in the most exclusive neighborhood. You're leasing a car. You have to get all this designer suits. You got to get all of this stuff, and they have zero money in the bank. They have no money to pass on to their children. They have no safety money. Like, literally, if I decided I didn't want to work anymore for the next couple of years, I would not have to. But like these people, the trappings of wealth is what is intoxicating to them. And what I find is that, especially young girls, they think that those are the men that they should be looking at. And it's like, no, like, especially if they're on the younger side, absolutely not. You need to be looking at the guy with the crusty feet, with the flip flops and the torn jeans and the faded t-shirt. But he's the guy who has a ton of money. Like right now, I'm working with an investor for my skincare line, and he dresses so bummy, like just a bum, and he's worth millions. And so it's like, we really need to start thinking about, the indicators of that flashy stuff, because again, it goes back to the showy, the showy mentality that many of us have, is just this flashy, 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 fancy cars, designer clothes, et cetera, et cetera. But then if you look in those statements, like you looked in those statements, you looked at what those people qualified, you looked at those credit scores, and you saw those bankruptcies, you saw that $500 credit score, and you saw the real deal, that these people were leveraged to the hilt, and it was all a mirage. It was all an illusion.
Yes. And actually, I'm so glad that happened to me, because then when I was rotational dating, when I was going for the right stuff, like my guy friends that were driving the Mercedes and they were all broke, right? Like paycheck to paycheck. And then I was dating these multimillionaires, these educated, like even the doctor, one of the guys was a doctor in my rotation. He dressed so average. He wasn't driving a luxury car. My husband still shops at Kohl's. Right? He can go buy whatever he wants. He's like, I have no one to impress. I'm married. So a lot of these guys, they'll spend money on their wives, right? Their wives are decked out. And that's the thing I noticed too, that a lot of these investors, when their wives would ever come to the closing or show up, like they, first of all, they would have this certain aura of like they're bothered that they had to like show up for something. And they would be dressed really, really nice. Like they would be the ones that had the nannies or had the nice car. If they had a nice car, it was the wife driving it. The wife had the nice jewelry, the nice clothing, the nice handbag. But the men, they didn't care. They were out in the field, like doing their thing. Right. I do want to take a second, Chris. I don't know if I answered that question about the single woman. So if you were a single woman, know that you inside of you have both the masculine and the feminine energies. So when you go to work or however you're coming in with your money, that's you bringing it in. That's you calling in, and that's the feminine aspect. What are you doing to keep that money? Take 10, 15% if you can and invest it in something. I first started investing in myself because I was coming in with a lot of limiting beliefs and things that I had to clear. So I first started investing in myself. And the more I invested in myself, the more I grew, the more I was aware of other opportunities. We're very safe investors, so we don't do like any of the gambling style stock market stuff or anything like that. But like become financially literate. That's the masculine container. And great books on this topic would be, I love The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. I love the all the series. There's a lot of them for women as well from Dr. Thomas Tanley, who I mentioned earlier. His daughter finished one of the books that unfortunately he couldn't finish, called The Next Millionaire Next Door, which is like the modern day millionaires now, because that one was a little bit outdated. But read that book. If you are looking to attract a masculine provider, read it from that perspective too, because you'll learn that what you may be looking for may be really disillusioned because of social media or what's out there. I recently shared a little bit of something from one of my programs called the Divine Union, Call in Your Provider. In that program, I talked about, and some of this is on my YouTube channel as well, that there's different types of providers. There's the provider in training, which is our sons, right? Like they're still growing, they're learning. Then there's the anti-provider, the Dirty John, the Dirty John predator, who will come
Oh my gosh, yes.
as a provider, but he will take whatever he can from you and run. Then there's the 50-50 roommate who's actually not a provider. There's no such thing as providing 50%. People that only brought enough for themselves, men who brought enough for themselves, got kicked out of the tribe. This is a new thing. They wouldn't have survived. They probably wouldn't have anyone sleep with them or procreate with them or marry them. So this is a weird twist to our genetics and to our evolution. There is no such thing as a 50-50 provider. So that's a roommate. So it's you can make it work with this person, but you will always feel uneasy. You will always know something's not right, because we have no genetic history of that. It's not normal. Then there's the intellectual conscious provider. Then the next one is the one before that is the blue collar provider. This is any man that has a job that numbs him either mentally or physically. This guy is a great guy. You can marry him and he'll provide everything, but he's too tired to do anything beyond that when he gets home. This is the guy that will provide, but he'll come home and sit on the couch. He's going to do video games. He's going to be on his phone. Then there's the intellectual conscious one, which I already told you. That's the guy that's like, I'm going to provide, but I also want a romantic relationship. I also want to help with the kids. Like he's like in it. He's like in the whole thing. The next one is the wealth conscious entrepreneur businessman. This is the guy that will throw money at you all day long and give you the luxury lifestyle, but he is nowhere to be found, honey, because he's addicted to his work. And some women like this. They say, just give me the money and I'm okay. I have a couple of relatives that are married to those guys, and they can't stand it now. They keep saying, I don't want the money. I don't want the presents. I don't want that thing. Stop upgrading the house. I don't want another car. Can you just spend time with me? And the guy's like, what more do you want? I just
want to give you things.
Yeah, because they are addicted to their work. That's where they get their satisfaction from. The reason I'm mentioning this is that all of these men will provide different types of resources, and they require different things from you. So have a plan, ladies. Know what you're getting into. What kind of a relationship do you want? What kind of a financial future do you want? How do you want your relationship in life to look like in 10, 20, 30, 40 years? Like, what's your plan?
Okay. I'm sorry. I got to just Rouge Noir. Okay. I normally don't address when people are rude in the chat, but you said stop looking up and down at the screen and pay attention when Mina is speaking. It's rude. Okay. So let me just explain something to you. So in conducting this event, there are things that I have to do. There are multiple moving parts. Okay. So when I'm looking at the camera, it looks like I'm talking to Mina. When I'm looking down, I am looking at the chat because you guys are asking questions, and I'm trying to field the questions, and I have to read the questions in order to present them to Mina. And so I know it seems like my eyes are all over the place, but I just want to be clear that maybe the next time, instead of assuming that I'm being rude, maybe, take a second and think, well, why are her eyes going all over the place? She seems engaged. She's listening. She's answering pertinent questions, but she's also trying to address the people in the chat room. So that's what I'm trying to do. So when I'm looking at you, what it looks like is that I'm looking and talking to Mina, but really Mina is on my screen here on my computer. And so if I look down, I'm actually looking at her. I can see her. But when I'm looking in the camera, I don't see her, but I'm trying to give the impression that I see her. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's a lot of moving parts here. And so I'm sorry if my eyes darting all over the place is very distracting for you. But you know what? There is a choice. You can just go. You don't have to stay. If it's distracting and you think I'm being rude, it's okay to go. Okay, there was a question in the chat about what women can do in their 30s to become more financially better off. Do you have maybe 1 or 2 tips on ways in which a woman who's single in her 30s can do that? And then after that, I want to just I want to touch on the idea of a provider, because I think that some women may think a provider is going to be somebody who makes a whole lot of money. But I have a story for you guys that I don't want you to miss, because not everybody, just like Mina said, not everybody is going to be with a millionaire and a billionaire. And there are things that you can do to identify men who are quality men, who are providers, who are not at that level. But go ahead, Mina, and I'm going to divert my eyes down so I can actually listen to I can read the questions while I'm listening to Mina.
Okay, so single ladies in your 30s. First of all, identify and get honest with what's missing in your finances. Like, are you the type that has the divine feminine aspect where money does come in? So if money's coming in for you and you're pretty good at that, you've got the divine feminine part going. Like, you're able to call it in. But if you can't keep it, the financial literacy part is missing. So, or if you are able to hustle for it and get it and it comes in, but you have trouble enjoying it, you don't enjoy the process of making it, you don't enjoy the process of spending it, you've got the divine masculine part, but the feminine part is not missing. So when money's fun and money's easy, that's the divine feminine. When money comes and stays and grows and has babies, that's the divine masculine. So first get really, really clear. And if you find, okay, I'm making a decent amount, but I have no idea where it's going, my number 1 tip will be that every time you spend money, get in touch with your body and see how your vibration is, right? And you have several options. The things that are like easy things for us, the things that were easy to cut out was like cable or, just like mindless things that like we were buying, but it wasn't like, yay, like jumping for joy, right? And then you might actually even identify some places where you actually enjoy spending money, but maybe you haven't been spending more. I would actually spend more there because that's going to raise your vibration. So identify, how are you spending mindlessly, or are you getting conscious? I will not pay anyone any amount of money, whether it's online or in person, without first stopping, putting the credit card in the right hand, right? And then like doing it in a way where I'm feeling good. Things that are out of your control, taxes, right? Right? So my husband I remember when I started my business and all of a sudden, like, we had all these taxes to pay. I heard him saying several things. And this was the part of our journey where I was like, okay, we're switching it around. Like, he needs to do the inner work on. And I was like, I like paying taxes. Paying taxes means that I'm earning money. Paying taxes means that I get to support our community. Paying taxes means that we have better roads, that we have better systems, that we have a better school system. And so I just went on this like riff on like just all the things which I enjoy about paying taxes. And that seemed to just switch it for him. And so I'm like, do not write that check with that like weird vibration, because that will cut off the flow of money coming in. So some things are out of your control. In that, you change your mindset. How do you become financially literate? Hello, we live in the age of information, right? Like, read books. There's YouTube channels, tons of them, right? Dave Ramsey. There's
Yes.
this really cutie. She's such a cute girl.
What's his name? His name is Edelman. What's his name? Sam Edelman or Edelman Financial. He's great too. He has a radio show.
Oh, I haven't heard of him. I'll check him out. Investing with Rose talks about, um, that investment. We're index fund millionaires. So that's how we made the first couple of minutes, like the get rich slow way, right? Like you invest and then it's boring. You don't even look at it. And it keeps growing, compounding behind the scenes.
Okay, you guys making notes on this? She just said index fund is how that they grew their first million. You gues need to be listening.
Because it's slow, it's boring, and it's not like, okay, so let me give you an example. My husband's best friend, who's also a multimillionaire, he invests in the stock market the way most people think, right? I made 50,000. Oh no, I lost 150,000. Oh, I made 40, like that, like volatile. We're not like that at all. So we compared notes, and our money grows very slowly because we're doing the index fund, the safe, the boring, the yawn way. But consistently, if you look, we've made more. And he's like, we'll have a big jackpot, but then, oh no, we lost 100. So if you look at the trends, there's a really great app. Sorry, I can nerd this out now. I used to be someone that knew nothing about finances. I would go out with dinner with my husband's best friend and his wife and sit there bored out of my mind as they would talk about the stock market. And then I was like, you know what? I want to be the type of woman that has something to contribute. And I just dived into it. So I won't bore you guys too much with this, but there's this Yahoo Stocks app. And if you go in there and you go to the Dow Jones and look at this, like no matter what, where's my camera? Look at that. If you look at the overall, it's always gone up, right? Like this is all of the Dow Jones. But if you zoom in to 6 months, it gets crazy.
So it's got to be long game versus short game.
It's a slowly game. So the people with the most patience win.
Yes. Slow and steady wins the race. So I wanted to just address
every time.
Yes. So I just wanted to address in terms of modest providers, because again, not everybody is going to be a 7-figure provider. Yes. It's very romantic to envision that, and sure, we all want that. But my father was a provider. My father had an 8th grade education. He was born in 1922, and he was the son of a sharecropper. And where he lived in Texas, which was actually near Dallas, they were like horse-drawn buggies still on the roads, like dirt roads, when he was a child. But with my mom, and they always made very, this was like growing up in the 80s. I remember there was one tax return and I was like, oh wow, you guys made $50,000. That just seemed like so much money. I remember on the first of the month, we would have to get into the big blue bubble van and drive down to McKee. McKee was the street that my parents bought a property on. There were 4 duplexes on that property. They bought it for $40,000 back in, I don't know, before I was born. And I remember the first of the month, he would go down there and he would do all the repairs. I remember painting and just being there all day and just would be like, oh my God, just like a wasted weekend down at McKee. But that McKee property, along with my father saying that I don't want to owe anybody. I don't want to have credit cards. Like if we have credit cards, I want them to be paid off. Like when he had when he was working, he was a garbage man, but he had a pension. And so the way that my father provided for my mother, my father passed away in 2009. But when they sold that McKee property, not only were they able to pay for my wedding, they paid off the house that they were in. His pension, my mother still gets. All of the health insurance, my mother still gets. And, there was no credit. There was no debt. When my father took his last breath, my mom was good. And so this was a man who had an 8th grade education, who came from nothing, was like dirt poor, but he was a provider. So I don't want you guys to think that all these, you know, a person who's a provider is somebody who makes a lot of money, because as we talked about earlier in this conversation, people can make a lot of money and be very, very careless with it. And so you want to have a man who cares about that, who values having something to pass down, that values that, okay, I'm not going to be here forever, but I want to make sure that my family is taken care of. I want to make sure my wife is taken care of. And, you know, my mom's the biggest pain in the butt, but she lives in a paid off house and she gets a pension and she has insurance and it's all good. That is a provider, you guys. Like, that's a provider too. And I think that we don't spend enough time bigging up, you know, the blue collar guys, you know, the guys who are just regular guys, but were very smart about money, who invested, who had a little, you know, who squirreled away their money. Like those guys are valuable too, because he was my dad. So yeah, that's one thing. Somebody real quick said, what do we do for financial planning in college? I have one tip for you. You are going to, if you're in college, you're going to get it. There's going to be a table somewhere on the quad, somewhere when everything opens up, that's going to have credit card applications on it. They're going to tell you to apply for credit cards. And I'm telling you that you need to walk right past that table and forget about the credit cards, okay? You don't need a credit card if you don't have a job, okay? They're just, that would be my tip. And ask me how I know, because I didn't walk past that table. I actually filled out the form, and a few years later, the debt was so much, my parents had to pay it off. So the one tip I would tell you in college, walk past those tables with the credit card forms on them. I don't care how much they tell you, how good it is, how much free money they think that they're promising you. Just keep walking. Just keep walking.
I agree. Can I touch a little bit on the provider thing?
Absolutely.
What the provider means, evolutionarily speaking,
Sure.
and how we're really getting it wrong now. So the term, what provider and protector means is, evolutionarily speaking, the hunter, right? So this is a guy that will put aside his own needs and feelings for the greater good of the tribe.
Yes.
We didn't have bank accounts. We didn't have cars. We did not have refrigerators even. So whatever he went and risked his life for and came back and shared, that made him the alpha male. So if he was willing to put his life on the line to hunt for you and the tribe, and if he was willing to put his life on the line to protect you and your offspring and the tribe, that made him a provider. Nowadays, when we see guys driving nice cars and spending money on designer things for themselves, that is not a provider. A provider is a guy that will dress low key and save money so he can buy a house for you. A provider is something that a man that has evolutionarily been trained to through millions of years to put aside his own needs for you. So a provider will never try to impress you with the stuff he did for himself, the car that he bought for himself, the clothes that he bought for himself. That's an anti-provider. That's a dirty John. That's a guy that tries to trick you. If he's trying to impress you with his college degree or the house that he's going to buy or his bank account that he's saving for you or his future wife, that is a provider. He has sacrificed his own needs for the greater good of the tribe. So 50-50 never existed. If a man went hunting and only bought back enough for himself, that was a threat, because the other men, the other alpha men that were risking their lives to provide, saw him as a threat, because he's behaving out of the norm. Like that's almost like an illness, like something's wrong, something's clicked off. So he would be kicked out of the tribe. He wouldn't be able to reproduce. He wouldn't have a woman interested in him. So there is no such thing as a 50-50 provider. There's no such thing. But we don't have to judge a man's providing by, can he buy me a Chanel bag?
Yes.
That's not the qualification. He may later on, but a true healthy man, a healthy masculine man will say, you can have, this is what my husband told me. Yes, you can have a Chanel bag, but after the house is paid off, after the thing is done, after I got it. He took me, he did research. Even my essay was like, this man knows his Chanel bags. Like, he spent time researching the bag and took me and bought it for me. But I had to wait. I had to wait until college funds were good, house was paid off, you know. So that's a provider. He's gonna make sure that all of the other stuff is taken for, like your future is set, like your father. Like, he's still providing when he's gone.
Yes.
Like, that's a provider. He wasn't driving around in a Mercedes trying to honk at women. Right?
And every car he bought, he paid cash for it. He wrote the check. When I was in college, he bought me a Lexus and paid for it in cash. Like, he he would wear Dickies every day. They were dirty. I mean, because he you know, when he retired, he did lawns. He was a landscaper. So, and he would drive a beat up truck, but he had the money to write a check for a Lexus for me. That right there is a provider, and it's not about the opulence. I want, you know, that's really important for us to just stress. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it was just, it's something that I'll never forget. And I didn't really understand it at the time. And I was a single mom, and he spent that money to get that car. It was a Lexus. It was only $11,000. But still, to be, even today, to write a check for $11,000 is not a little small thing. He bought me 2 cars and paid both of them in cash. That's a provider. Like, and he only went to school up to the 8th grade. So it's a value system, you guys. And I think, Mina, I think that's really the key here is really trying to instill in the young women and the older ladies who are listening, it's the value system.
Yes, they're providing for you. It's the mindset. In fact, a true healthy masculine provider, protector will seem kind of controlling sometimes. Because it's easier for them to provide and protect when they can control the environment and the circumstances. And so that's a byproduct of that. We were actually talking about that today with my oldest son, that one of the reasons that women gravitate towards the bad boy, it's because a lot of the movements towards toxic masculinity has made the good guys, the masculine providers, kind of afraid of their own masculinity. And when a good guy disowns his dark masculine energy, he no longer seems safe. We need men to have both the dark masculine energy and the light masculine energy, because I want to know that my good guy, who's a good provider, who's safe, you know, he's doing all this stuff, can also kill if needed to protect me. Yes. Because we were telling my son this, but like the hunter, he was doing good for the tribe, but what was he doing? He was out there killing animals. Like, he was out there being really dark, but he was doing it out of love for us. Yes. So we still need that. And so when women have to choose, they think, okay, well, I'll feel safer with the dark masculine energy, and then maybe there'll be some good, but you can't convert him. It's easier to be with a good guy, the good, healthy masculine provider, and invoke the dark masculine in him. Sometimes they practice by being a little bit controlling, and you can in a healthy way communicate and push back a little bit, but that's also healthy. It's them practicing some of those things that we actually need them to have. Right.
Well, you don't want somebody like, who's that guy's name with the pyramid scheme? Bernie Murdoch
or something? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like that's somebody who in Wall Street. And let me tell you, ladies, I'm hearing these horror stories. My daughter's also in New York. She's telling me these horror stories of these men who seem like on the surface would be very good providers, but they're doing their mentality and the way that they look at things and the way they look at money and the way they look at people is so devoid of empathy and caring about other people, that you don't want to get caught up with these people who can make all these millions, but they have no foundation of any type of integrity or propriety or caring for others. It's always that temporary fix, and it's, everybody else be damned, I'm going to get mine, because ultimately people like that are going to be the people who are going to end up in jail. You're not going to have anything. So, just slow and steady wins the race, and vet these men and look at, like, for me, I think it's really important, like when you're dating, to do credit checks. You know, I had Been Verified reached out to me once, and I did a promo for them on my channel because I was like, absolutely, I will take your money to promote your product, because Verified can tell you a lot of information about these people who can display opulence, but then you kind of need to peel back the layers and see exactly who you're dealing with. Really quickly, Mina, the chat is going by fast. I know I've probably missed questions. Have you been following the chat?
I'm not. I don't even have it open. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So I've been tagged a couple of times. Oh my goodness. You guys have to tag me, or better yet, send a super chat. I can see that. I can see those. And all the super chats go towards the Pink Pill for College. But let me just, if there's anything that credit card debt, yeah. Credit card.
Well, let me see if there's something that I wanted to say while you're looking.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Someone, Cheek Critics Thinking said I had 22 credit cards at 22 years old. Oh my God. 22 credit cards. You guys, that is the trap right there. My God. And let me tell you something. I paid off my credit cards a few years ago. It was about $15,000. And I got to tell you, that money, it was such a relief. And to this day, I mean, it taught me a very good lesson, because I'll shop, and people, the cashiers, they're told to tell the customer about the credit card and all the benefits of having the credit card and all that. I'm like, nope, no, thank you. If I can't pay for it in cash, I can't afford it, and I don't want it, But I mean, that's how they get you. They get you young. You're 22 years old with 22 credit cards. Good Lord.
Can I speak a little bit about debt?
Yeah, let's do that.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with debt. So let me just put that out there first. I have used debt in my life, and it served me. Where it becomes a problem.
But what kind of debt, though?
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? Like, if debt. So let's look at what is debt. Debt is faith that you will call in the money and that you will pay it off. That's what debt is. It's faith, right? So I use debt to buy multiple properties when I was flipping properties and doing real estate, and I learned a lot and I made a lot of money. Now, I was stupid with the money. That's a whole nother, thing, but it served me. I had to take student loans. I didn't have parents paying for college and stuff, and then I paid it off. That served me. The two properties that I've owned with my husband, the two homes that we've lived in, we took mortgages, but we took 30-year mortgages and paid it off in 3 to 5 years. Mm-hmm. So I have clients that sometimes will put their, my programs on their credit card, and then they'll write back saying, Mina, I bought the program, did the inner work, I manifested 3 times the money, and now I paid that off and have money in the bag. So debt is just faith. It's a problem when your energy with money and your belief systems with money and your limiting belief with money is messed up. So I know that Dave Ramsey, a lot of people associate us with Dave Ramsey because we were featured on his channel after we made our first million stuff. We really like his program, but some of the things we don't agree with, right? Like, we use credit cards, we just pay them off at the end of the month. And I don't think that we have to look at debt as the boogeyman. Mm-hmm. Debt has served single moms. I know it served me as a single mom. Yes. Debt has served me in many areas of my life. I'm not ashamed of it at all. But just use it intentionally. Right. If you're going to put something on a credit card, then keep yourself aligned that you're going to have faith that you will have the money to pay it off.
Well, here's the thing. When I was in that credit card trap, I was buying things impulsively. It wasn't like I was looking at credit as for leverage. in order to like further my lifestyle. It was just this, oh, look at these shoes, or oh, I have to have this, or oh, I have to get that. Not really looking at credit as leverage in order to get something bigger that was more substantial. I feel like the problem that many people have with credit is that they're using it as like free money for frivolous things, you know, like buying outfits, taking trips. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a little different with
It's the
trip. You know,
intention
you could
behind
buy,
it.
you
I
can pay
agree.
for it and then and pay it off. But I think like buying clothes, buying designer things, like things like that, I feel like credit should not be used for those things. Credit should be to make moves. Like you're starting a business, use that credit. You're expanding your business, use that credit. You want to buy a house to flip it, use that credit. Like those are the things, like when you're making real boss moves, that's when I think credit is good. But if it's just you want to buy a pair of shoes and you don't have the money, like I think that's where the trap happens.
Exactly. But I just want to say that because I think that when we turn all debt into a boogeyman, and the truth is, maybe you were the person that bought the clothes and the shoes. I have been there
Yeah,
too.
I was.
But I didn't get out of it when I was shaming myself.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of it when I had a healthy relationship with money.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those mistakes have served you. Now you know better and you're going to do better. And so if that's you and if you have debt, make peace with it. Get in your journal, sit down and be like, you know what? I made some bad moves with debt, but I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm going to maybe use debt in the future. Maybe I'll need to buy a car or a house or whatever, but I'm going to use it intentionally where it serves me. And, you know, I had this one client I was working with a couple of years ago who had not worked in 20 years and her husband had accumulated 20 years worth of debt. So they were both not working
Wow.
and they had millions of dollars in debt. And so when she started working with me, there was a lot of shame attached to it. And I said, okay, so can we agree that we're going to pay off the debt and we're going to get out of this? But can we also agree that, wow, the masculine container of debt actually helped you not work for 20 years? Like, I know like that might be really negative and like there might
Wow.
be a lot of
That's an
shame, but for
interesting
1 second, can we just be like,
yeah.
damn, that's pretty, that's pretty cool. You didn't work
Yeah.
for 20 years and you were somehow able to call in this money. Can we do it again? Can we call it in this time to pay off that money? Like, can we do it from a healthy place versus like, I'm bad and I'm shamed and it's ruining our relationship, right? Like, I'm like, that's pretty badass. Like, if I wasn't judging you and if you weren't judging, like, that's a high five kind of moment. I know that sounds weird, but you can't do certain things when you're shaming yourself, you know?
Yeah. And finally, I know there's a bunch of questions, but I want to bring this to relationships because I think this is really important when selecting selecting a person to be a potential life partner. How can you find out if they have a healthy relationship with money? I think that's something that's important. And I'm going to share my story of what indicated to me at in my early 20s that my husband was a good match, and I could trust him financially. And I would like for you, like when you guys were dating with you and your husband, were there little indicators, and what were those indicators? Because maybe we can help the ladies understand, like, what are these little hints and tips along the way before you guys have those conversations together about where you want your money to go. So for me, the thing that really made me realize like how good my husband was with money was when we were dating. Every Sunday he would buy the Sunday Los Angeles Times. He liked to read the paper, but that's not why he got the Los Angeles Times. He got the Los Angeles Times for the coupons. And so he would cut the coupons every Sunday, and he had a budget of $40. So this was back in the 90s, like, early 2000. Well, no, it was 99, 2000, just barely 2000. And he had a budget of $40 and he clipped coupons. When we got married, and we were looking for a condo, and we were both young. I was 28 and he was 29. He had $40,000 saved in his bank account. I had never met anybody in their 20s who had that kind of money saved in their, and just buying things on sale, clipping coupons. He did splurge on me. Like, we would go to, nice restaurants. We would go on vacation, but it was within a budget. So I was looking at all of these things and I was like, you know what? This is the guy. This is the guy, because I'm so bad with money. Like, he's clipping coupons every Sunday. He's got a budget. He's got money in the bank. Yes, Dad will be proud. And Dad was proud. So those were the things, those were the indicators that, and here's how I knew he wasn't a cheater. Okay. So I'm going to reveal something else about myself. So when we were dating, I was a single mom. And so, my daughter would have visitation with her dad every other weekend, but on the weekends where I had my daughter, I was living with my parents at the time, and he would come up and visit, and we were going to a movie. We went to a movie, and when I was younger, we would sneak into we would pay to see one movie, and then we would sneak in to see another movie. And I was like, we just saw this movie, and this movie's about to come out. This movie's about to start. We could go in the bathroom and we could sneak in and watch the other movie. And he was like, we can't do that. That's, we didn't pay for the ticket. We can't do that. And I was just like, oh my God. That's when I knew. I was like, this guy has so much integrity. Like, literally a Boy Scout. I was like, I can trust this man with anything. He's so trustworthy. He won't even sneak into a movie with me. So those were indicators that I knew, okay, this was a good bet, So what were some of the things that you saw in your husband when you guys were dating that you were like, you know what, this is a good solid bet?
So it's so funny that some of the things you've shared, it sounds like your husband could be great friends with Irfan, because that's similar. He was known as Coupon Mom. And that was one of the things that I noticed about him too, is that it wasn't that he just wanted to save his money, that he was careful. He didn't want other people spending their money foolishly either. But that's a whole other thing. So in our culture, and I advise my clients from all cultures to do this now, but this is something I learned from my culture. It is not unreasonable. It is normal to ask for documents. And so we did. Mm-hmm. My husband proposed in 2 weeks. He was asking me to be his girlfriend. I gave him the no girlfriend speech, as I did with all the other guys. And
wait.
Did you not know that? Sorry.
Wait. So you met him, and in 2 weeks, you guys got engaged?
Yes. So
wow.
I was rotational dating. And this is, mm-hmm. I know when you look at me, and sometimes a lot of people, I have people from all countries following me, and they think, oh, well, that's normal in her culture. The funny thing is, I've been able to do this, replicate this with people of all cultures now, mm-hmm. through my programs and services. So the way you date, what dating actually means, this is how we used to date. And actually, this is how all species date, not just Homo sapiens, is that a woman, a female in other species, will come along, and then all the various males that are interested in her will show her what they can do for her. So male birds will go and get bugs and put them on their nests. And then the female bird will go and see who has more bugs and then choose that mate. This is just how it is in all species.
Wow. We're just got hypergamous birds out here.
Yes. And everyone's doing hypergamy. So are men, mm-hmm. but it's different. They're looking for the best quality genes too, just not money. It's different, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So when I was rotational dating, Irfan was the last person to come into my rotation. Some of the guys my mom had introduced me to were multimillionaires already. Irfan was a work in progress. They were all multimillionaires, 3 of them. And my number one was my mom's number one choice. She was not impressed with Irfan. She was impressed with some of these other guys. And so 2 of the other guys actually ended up proposing before Irfan. And they had tried to get me to become their girlfriend. We would like to be exclusive with you. And I said, I'm so flattered. Oh, you guys you're so sweet. But I'm dating for marriage, and I would love to continue dating you, but the only way to take me off the market is when someone proposes, and if I like them, then I say yes, right? So when Irfan came along, I met him on a website, on a matrimonial, like a dating website. And same thing. We were talking for a couple of weeks, and then he came to see me, and he liked what he saw, and immediately, like, he would like to become exclusive. And I'm like, oh, I'm so flattered. But you know how it is, like, in our culture, that's not going to work. And I'm dating for marriage. My mom's sick. My mom had cancer at the time, and I'm like, I can't be off the market. So he said, what do you need to be off the market? And I said, well, when the guy that proposes and he matches my love list. So he flew back to South Carolina and came, I think it was the same day or next day, with the ring. And he went to see my mom and dad and asked for my hand first. He had to get approval. And they said, bring us these documents. So he had to bring his house paper, his passport, his bank accounts, his job pay stubs, his tax returns. And so he flew back home, got those documents the same day, came over.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's how. Then when he proposed, then I said yes.
Do you think it's cultural though? I mean, like, I just feel like
I've been able
in
to
your culture, it's like chip chop hippity hop. Like, you know.
Here's the thing, babe. I have clients from all cultures, and they've been together with the guy for 10 years, and they're still not with the right guy because they wasted the 10 years instead of seeing if he's a good match. They wasted the 10 years trying to get him to be a good match, try to chase him, try to get the ring. It's like, does he match your love list? Huh? I don't know. Well, what were you doing for 10 years? What's the dating thing? So get rid of this whole boyfriend girlfriend thing, right? Like, I wouldn't become, I maybe if someone gave me $10 million a year, I would consider it, because like, then it's like, okay, it's a paid position. I'm maybe playing a role. But other than that, it makes no evolutionary sense. We've never had it. Yeah. It defies religion, logic, evolution, science, like psychology. Like, it does not make sense. So you can spend, I've learned through my coaching, 7, 8, 9, 10 years with a man and still not know if he's a good match. Or you can spend 3 months, a year with a guy, and you're putting in the right checks in place, and then you know if he's a good match. So it's not the length of time, it's what you do with the time.
Yes. I mean, I'm so disgusted when I hear, I've been engaged for 7 years. I've been, engaged for 10 years. It's absolutely, a waste of your time, your fertility, your emotional labor, all of that. I absolutely agree. Girl, can you believe we've been talking for 2 hours?
Have we? Oh my goodness. We could talk forever.
I know. I really like you. I really like you a lot. I feel like we just kind of click together, and that's a hard thing to do sometimes on YouTube, as I'm sure you are aware.
Thank you. I like you too.
But this is really an important conversation, and obviously Mina is on the right track and able to sort of guide you guys into selecting the right kind of mate, having the right kind of mindset, so that you can attract money to you, and then you can but the money that's coming to you, you are utilizing it wisely. So definitely, you guys need to follow the Universe Guru, and that's Mina. Mina is the Universe Guru on YouTube, and has I've even taken some coaching from her, and I think that there's definitely some many layers of value that I feel like Mina can offer to you all. If you could give one piece of advice to single women on sort of this, like, a parting thing, they have been asking in the chat the books. I think I'm gonna have to have you text me the name of those books so I can put it in the chat. All of the books. What is the number one thing that you could say, if you had to boil it down to the sauce for everything, what would you want the listeners, the 500 people who are listening right now, to leave with knowing?
So I actually, let me grab my journal real quick. I'm a huge journal person. It's so funny because before I do any kind of video or topic or anything, I always just say a little prayer and I say, God, what would you have me say? And so I did that today as well. And some things came through that I could say as the parting things. As for the books, if you search for the Universe Guru Amazon store, and then click on Mina's favorite books, I have some financial books in there.
Mm-hmm.
I also have several programs on the energy of money. That's the feminine part. And then my husband has made many free videos on my YouTube channel on investing and, savings rate. So here's what I would say. Okay. I want you to know that money is both masculine and feminine, and you need both. You don't need a partner for that. You yourself first need both the feminine and masculine aspects of it. If you hate the word he, if you hate men, if you hate the word masculine, if you have any sort of funky energy with your father, you will have money issues.
Mm.
The pattern I've seen after thousands of women have gone through my field, through my programs, I'm telling you, you will have money issues because the masculine part will screw you over. You need a healthy relationship with both. So know that. Know that money is a decision. You have to decide that you get to be rich, that you get to have money, that you are worthy of money, that money doesn't have to look Instagram worthy, but you need to feel that you deserve money. Money is security. Money is freedom. Money is liberation. Money requires inner work. If you don't think you're worthy of it, you won't allow it. You'll block it. You'll make it difficult. Money is supposed to be fun. Money is the energy of appreciation. So do the inner work around money. Most women that I've worked with are deathly afraid of money. But Mina, if I'm rich, then I'll be unsafe, that someone will come get me. Won't I need extra security cameras? By the way, this is such a encoded thing that I remember that when we had our first million, we upgraded the home security system. We got cameras. That fear showed up in me. This is such an encoding in women. So you're going to have to work against that. I started saying mantras like money is safe. Money actually makes me safer. Money
yes,
is
it does.
Yes, because it was just this wonky energy around that money is going to somehow put me or my family in harm's. I don't know where this came from in our collective, but I'm not the only one. I've seen this through many people. Most women that have taken my business coaching programs freak out. They're fine before they start making the money. The first couple of sales that they have in their coaching business or their whatever business that they're taking mentoring for, they freak out. I've had women get angry, women get fights with their husband, have all kinds of situations.
So it's almost like a self-sabotage kind of thing.
Yeah, because they feel unsafe with money. They have to create something. One of my favorite mantras was, so one of the things I've done, Chris, that is that I use the same inner work protocol for every area of my life. And this has been a really scary journey. I'm not even going to sit here and tell you that it was easy. So I used it to solve my cure. I had rheumatoid arthritis and I didn't want to end up like my mom and a lot of my relatives. So I used the inner work to cure myself of that. It's been like 7 years now. Every year I get the test, it comes out clear. They're like, we don't know what you did, but keep doing it. So then I used it to improve my relationship. Then I used it to improve my relationship with money. And so what I noticed in myself is that the better my life got, the more bliss I felt, the more fear showed up. Because it was like there was this feeling of, it's too good to be true. I don't know any other person that has it this good. There's always one thing really messed up. So I started saying, I get to have peace in all areas of my life. I said this like a psycho woman, like millions of times until my subconscious started believing it. I get to have peace in all areas of my life. Just because I have money doesn't mean I have to fight with my husband or ruin this, or you know what I mean? Like, you know how we do that.
Yes. Absolutely.
So money is a decision, and you get to make that decision for yourself. You get to allow yourself to become financially literate, energetically literate. If you don't believe you're worthy of it, you will complicate it. You will make it harder than it needs to be. So if I leave you with one thing, I would say the mantra, it gets to be easy and it gets to be fun. It gets to be easy and it gets to be fun. Repeat it over and over again until you believe it.
I love it. I love it. So people can find you on YouTube at The Universe Guru. Where can they find you? Are you on Twitter and Instagram?
No, I'm nowhere else. I'm very much about focused energy, doing really, really well.
Oh my gosh, I wish my life could be that simple.
I eliminated anything that wasn't serving me or over. I'm really, one thing you should know about me, I'm severely allergic to hard work and difficult things. I like my life to be easy.
When were you born?
I'm a Sagittarius.
Wow. Is that December or?
November.
Okay, late November, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, how come I like you so much? I don't do signs. I really like you. I feel like there's a connection. But it's like I never take that stuff seriously. But they're like, oh, here's who you're compatible with, and here's who you're not. But I immediately just have this great connection with you, and you're just such a warm, welcoming spirit, and just. I don't know. You just are. You are a very you're successful, but you really do care and have passion for what you're doing. And I think like attracts like in that way, because I really enjoy what I do. I'm successful at what I do, but I really mean it, and so I see that in you. You guys, you know what time it is? Mina, do you know what time it is?
Pinky powwow.
It is time for the Pinky Two-Step.
Yeah. I messed that up. Sorry. Okay, so here's the thing.
It's been a hellish winter recently, right? For you, Mina, right? It's been snow, literal. I mean, I've been talking to Shira, and she lives in the Houston area, and she was like, it's snowing. And I'm like, can you please take a moment and look out your window to see if pigs are flying? Has the Gulf of Mexico split in two? Is it the apocalypse? Because all of these crazy things are happening. It's been a crazy, crazy winter. It's been dry over here, and we need the water. But whatever, we're just going to keep praying for the rain. But since it's been so cold and so disgusting, I'm going to bring back an oldie. An oldie. Are you guys ready? Okay, so first of all, I want you to make sure that everybody who's listening, I want you to do two things. I want you to find the Universe Guru. We'll put the link in the description box. Mods, if you guys can put the link to her channel, have the people subscribe there. If you guys are new, I'm really, really close to 100,000 subscribers. This close. So what's going to happen is, when I get to 100,000 subscribers, I'm going to give a boatload of free courses away. Okay? So the sooner you guys can get me to 100,000, the sooner I'm going to be giving away some courses, and they're going to be the premier elite courses. Not little courses, but the big ones. Think the Pink Pill for Business. Okay? So with that, and with the weather, we're going to summon warmth and springtime, because I just feel like it's coming. I got my garden together. Do you garden, Mina?
I do. I love it.
I love gardening too. See, I just planted my spring garden. Tomatoes, cucumbers, chives, green beans, all kinds of stuff. I was so excited. I'm so excited for it. My goal is to make an entire produce department out of my backyard. And the only thing literally that I need to get at the store is meat or something. And also wine, right? All right. So you guys, thank you so much. And it's time for the Pinky Two-Step. All right, Mina, you ready?
Yep. Let's do it.
All right.
watching stars align. Days of making sweet honey, Melissa lemon balm. Nights as warm as your breath on my chest, so calm. Now baby, let the summer breeze carry us away. Let the summer breeze carry us away, baby, to a place where the sun always shines, or to summer lovers. 'Cause before you know it, the summer has gone. Halfway into life, you think you've seen it all,
A little bit, yeah.
I love it.
but I've never seen
Cutting
a
out.
smile like yours. How could any man alive not fall and let the forces of love take their course? Let the summer breeze carry us away. Let the summer breeze carry us away, baby, to a place where the sun always shines, so to summer lovers. 'Cause before you know it, the summer has gone. Tell me lover, it's autumn on its way. Yeah, yeah. Tell me lover, is summer here to stay? Tell me lover, is autumn on its way? Tell me lover, is summer here to stay? Oh, now baby, let the summer breeze, let it carry us away. Yeah. Oh, baby, 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 where the sun always shines on to lovers. The summer is gone. Let it carry us away, baby.
Mina, thank you for being a good sport.
Thank you so much. And we forgot to tell everyone that you're going to be on my channel on
Yes.
Wednesday.
That's
Yes.
right. That's right. We're gonna take the money conversation. I think we should talk about it. What I really feel passionate about is helping women discover their passion and creating a business based on their passion, making money based on something they absolutely love to do. Like what I have done with the publishing of my book and the niche that I have carved out, I know I have literally changed the world. And what I would love to talk about with your audience is discovering that passion, walking in faith, so that you can live that passion and change the world and become successful in what you do.
Absolutely. Whatever you want to talk about. They loved everything you had to say last time. So whatever you want to talk about. One thing I will kind of plant that I was hoping you'd touch on,
Okay.
and I'll send you the article. There was research done a while back where, you know how there's like that females earn whatever 80 cents or whatever to $1, whatever that is. I forgot what it was. But one of the rebuttals to that was it's because women don't know how to negotiate and they're too shy to negotiate.
I can
kind
talk
of
about that.
with you. So yeah,
Yes.
but whatever you want to talk about, bring it on. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I think I can talk about both things. I'll talk about fighting to make your passion your business and your avenue of generating income, but also negotiating. Negotiating is something I had to learn, and there is the reason, and that is the one reason why women don't get the money that they deserve. And so we're going to talk about that, and I want to even talk about under like the whole nature of negotiation. It's not just in business, but it's also in relationships. A lot of times we're not coming to the table knowing what all our options are when it comes to negotiations. We have to remember those who have the most options has the bigger leverage, has the control in a negotiation. A lot of times women, we're not exercising all the options available to us so we can balance that out. So I would love to talk about that. I got a lot to say.
Absolutely. And wealthy people always negotiate. Like my husband will make the salesperson when we're buying cars cry.
I know. And sometimes it gets exhausting. My husband's that way too. And I'm just like, it's for hours and hours. And it's just so, I hate it. But, you know, it's something that's necessary, but it's, I hate it.
Yeah. So let's do that on Wednesday. So we'll see you guys there.
All right. Yes, I will be on Mina's channel on Wednesday. You guys, this is Mina featuring here on the Pink Pill, and she has the wonderful channel called The Universe Guru. She also is a lifestyle coach that gives so much great information. Check her out. And as you guys know, I am Crystalline Karazin, and you just took the Pink Pill. Pinkies up.